Okay, and the topic for this week is motivational theories, and there are a collection of them that we talk about in this chapter. It's really the section of the book that we're in right now is what we call the shorts, and really the motivational chapter is a little bit longer, but it's almost constituted of shorts on motivational theories, and so each one of them has a different aspect of motivation. So it's like a longer chapter made up of shorts. Okay, and here are some of the people that you read about. Okay, goal setting is one of the key constructs. So setting your own by yourself or setting them in collaboration with a teacher, but you really need ownership of those goals. And you need to set long-term goals and you need to make short-term goals. Performance goals versus mastery goals. And so in performance goals, you want 35% of the people to get A's and everybody else gets something else, and that's the rigor debate. But if you're really caring about people learning something and mastering it, and you want them all to learn it, then mastery might be the best way. And then you don't have this performance criteria like this many A's. If your goal is that everybody learn it, then you want 100% A's or 100% P's per passing. And so you have the goals, internal goals that you're setting, and you also have these performance versus mastery goals, were some of the topics that were covered in the goals section. Okay. I think I would be remiss in the field of instructional technology not to talk about Gagne's 9 events of instruction, and here they are. You need to gain the learner's attention, tell them what the objective is, get them to recall any information that they need prior to whatever it is that you're going to talk about today. You present the material. You give them an opportunity to get feedback. You get them to do something and get actively engaged in something. You provide feedback on that, and you kind of do the 6 and 7 loop for a while until you're confident that they know it. Then you assess their performance, and then you enhance retention and help them with transferring what they've learned to other contexts. Okay? Gagne's 9 events of instruction, very logical, very well known, very often used model of instruction. Now my question is in the second event, you inform the learner of the objective. And the point of that is goal setting. And my point in making this presentation right now is telling the learner this is what the goal of my instruction is. Does that fit in with motivational theory? And my answer, since you can't answer me, is that the answer is no, it doesn't. Unless the learner has a role in establishing that as a goal for themselves. They have to have buy-in. Just telling them that this is what the objective is doesn't mean that they're buying into the objective. They're not buying into the goal. So I don't think that does fit in with motivation. You really need them, the learner, each individual learner, to buy into the goal. All right. Another construct is self-efficacy, and here's Bandura's definition of it. Self-efficacy is the belief, and that's in red, that's in bright there, in one's capabilities to organize and execute the sources of action required to manage prospective situations. So it's your belief about how you're going to do something, your belief in the picture of this kid playing baseball here, your belief in your ability to play baseball, your belief in your ability to do math, your belief in your ability. That's self-efficacy. So, self-efficacy, your judgment of your ability with whatever it is to be learned. Mastery learning seems to help with self-efficacy, whereas performance goals don't help with self-efficacy. With mastery learning, you want everybody to learn, and if everybody's learning, each individual is feeling some success, which then feeds on itself. It builds on itself, and you become more self-efficacious, and so you're more willing to do more. So mastery learning is a good strategy for fostering self-efficacy. Modeling is a strategy. Modeling how to be self-efficacious. Coaching, persuasion, keep encouraging them to do well, to say, oh, you're doing well. Oh, I like what you've done here. Be specific. Give them lots of support. Model, feedback, and success. Got to have that success. Whatever it is that you could do to help bring about success is what's going to help a person's self-efficacy. And if they don't believe they're going to do well, they're not going to do well. So you really need to foster self-efficacy. Attribution is another key motivational construct, and so there are lots of different attributions. There's locus of control, whether you have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. Whether a lot of the attributions have a state versus trait thing. I'm always bad in math versus I'm not good at math today. Controllability, skill and competence are classified as controllable, while luck and mood are classified as uncontrollable. So I did well at the test today because I was in a good mood. Is not a controllable factor. I did well on the test today because it was a really easy test. Is not a controllable factor. I did well on the test because I studied really hard. Is something that is controllable. So the controllability factor. Intrinsic motivation is, I think, what we ought to be fostering, and a really key, here are some of the elements of intrinsic motivation, and it involves flow, which is Miha's idea, and a way of bringing about flow is challenge, control, curiosity, and fantasy. A key element is to have challenge. Whatever you have your learners engaged in should be challenged. It shouldn't be too easy, it shouldn't be too hard. And they need to have control over it, and that will actually help them manage that challenge. Whatever you get them to engage in needs to foster curiosity. They should be really interested in it. And you can employ something like fantasy to help with that curiosity. So these are the elements that you want to bring about. You don't want to reinforce things. You want to get them excited. They want to learn it because they do, because they're excited about it. All right, let's talk a little bit more about that construct of flow that I just talked about. It's different from the other motivational theories in that it describes a specific kind of experience or state of mind. It's the optimal experience, it's timelessness. And this happens to me all the time, particularly when I'm engaging in some kind of computer thing, that I'll sit down and I'll start working on something, and my wife will say, well, what time are you getting home? I'll say, I'll be home at 5 o'clock. And I'll start working on the thing, and when I look up, it's 7 o'clock. Because it's this timelessness. You're so engrossed in whatever it is that you're doing, the rest of the world disappears. Everything is about what you're engaged in. That's the state of flow. Flow and learning appear to be quite compatible, especially in constructionist learning environments. And so I imagine each of you can probably describe something that you engage in, that you get in that state of flow. And it's engrossing. You just are so engrossed in it, the rest of the world disappears. The other thing that the book is great about talking about is self-regulation, and there's a nice table in there that has all these different constructs. So what can you do to help make yourself more self-regulated? Well, you can do goal setting. You can come up with task strategies. You can use imagery. You can use self-instruction. You can do time management. These are all the things that you can do. Now, one of the things often that happens in an online class is they say that the learner needs to be much more self-regulated and self-directed. Well, I would go back to that table and look at these things. If you're struggling with this class and trying to keep focused on the class, you might go back and look at each of these individual things. And what is it you could do to manage your time better? What is it I could do wherever I'm attending class from to restructure my environment so that there aren't any distractions? You can use each of these things, these strategies, as strategies to help you with self-regulation. And I often do. I go back to that chapter and look at those. And so if I'm working with students and I need them to be self-regulated, I go back to the chapter and look at each of these individual elements and try to bring each of them out to make use of. All right. There are many ideas in the motivation literature. Use whatever you think might work for your situation. That's what, the motivation chapter is probably one of the chapters I go back to all the time because I'm always looking for ideas to help motivate myself or motivate students that I'm working with. Okay? Bye-bye.